Hi guys, creepy mama. At last I'm here. I'm back. I've made it. I survived. So I thought that by getting back on the bandwagon, we'll go with something a little bit lighter, not too dark. But really, is it? I don't know. You judge for yourself. So far, you can see from the thumbnail and the title of this video, mermaids. So the mythological creature that we are going to talk about is mermaids. Now, according to Wikipedia, I don't think any of us need a description of what a mermaid is, but just for interest's sake, Wikipedia says a mermaid is an aquatic creature with the head and upper body of a female human and the tail of a fish. So when we think of mermaids, I think that all of us naturally, the first thought is Ariel from the Little Mermaid, Disney. Yay, beautiful, wonderful. But are you ready for me to ruin your childhood? Because I'm going to ruin your childhood. This Disney beautiful fairy tale was based off a book by Hans Christian Andersen, which was not really that sweet and innocent. It's a lot darker than given in the Disney movie. First of all, just a few snippets, you can go and read the book if you're really interested, is Ariel didn't get a beautiful shell hanging around her neck with her voice in it. Her tongue was cut out. They cut out her tongue so she couldn't speak. And on top of that, apparently Ariel had no soul. So there's that. As well as the image of her and Eric getting married and happily ever after. You know how Disney do. No. For Eric to live, Ariel needed to die. So, did I ruin your childhood? It's a pleasure. So, besides that, mermaids are said to be bringers of misfortune and death by crashing boats into rocks. And then you get a likeness in other mythologies called the siren, which would lure sailors to their death with a siren song, a beautiful song, because who doesn't love a beautiful song? And according to the story of Odysseus, how Odysseus overcome the sirens was he tied his crew to the masts and put wax in their ears. So if you are planning to go on the waters, planning to have a trip, take some rope and some wax, just in case those mermaids or sirens decide that you shouldn't be there. But then again, we do get mermen, which are the male versions of mermaids. We all know Trident, also from Ariel, father, white beard, crown, Trident. Apparently mermen have the power to summon storms. So in that case, if you're on your little boat trip and you're enjoying yourself, and a merman decides that he doesn't like you, well, your rope and your wax is not gonna mean a thing. So, good luck. But then again, people like to what is the word? But anyway, people like to say that mermaids aren't real, and that the mermaids that sightings that they had were actually manatees, because a lot of people say mermaids were not as attractive as made up to be. So there would be manatees basking in the sun on the rocks, and that would cause the sailors to crash into the rocks because they are seeing some pretty mermaid women lying on these rocks, and they want to go to these women. And then obviously the ship is gonna wreck on the rocks. I mean, duh. Seriously. But while I was doing this research, I came across a program on YouTube. Now, the program's name is Mermaids, the Body Found. Are Mermaids Real? And the channel is called Real Truth Science. Now, it's real as in double E, so real like a fishing rod reel. And it's a bit long. It's an hour and 19 minutes, but I found this extremely fascinating. So apparently, what happened here, I'm just going to give you a quick run through of it because I found it very fascinating. If you're interested, you can look it up and watch it. I would recommend that you watch it. It's quite interesting. So, all around the world, whales were being washed up. Now, the first time the whales washed up, I believe it was in Washington, 2 boys were first on scene, and they found a body that was not a whale. It seemed to be a kind of a humanoid kind of a creature, and they have footage of this, but the government wanted to make as if it's not real. They see what they really saw. They were under stress. So that happened. And then in South Africa, after going through the documentary, in South Africa, which intrigued me because I love anything that happens in South Africa, whales washed up as well. And among the whales, not that washed up, but they found a great white as well. And inside this great white was the remains of something not quite human, not quite fish. They found human DNA, but the government would say eventually that no, it was contaminated with human DNA. Not that the species was human DNA, because eventually they took the specimen away from the scientists. As governments do, you know, you guys that love your conspiracy theories, this is what the government does. So, according to the series, there's a few things that could point to that these aquatic apes, because we come from apes, but these are aquatic apes, are our ancestors, and we could actually still study and get to know some of our ancestors because they're still out there. But apparently these guys don't want to be found. So some of the things that they asked that I found very intriguing in this documentary was why they say that we could have aquatic ancestors is that we are one of the only species that when you throw a baby into a pool, I'm not saying you should throw your baby in a pool, don't do that. But if you throw a baby into a pool of water, they will automatically swim. It's a natural instinct. Where other animals don't do this, they will just drown. But babies swim with ease. You can look it up, watch some of those videos. It's super cool, but don't throw your baby in the water, please. And the other thing is that we can hold our breath for up to 20 minutes. Divers can hold their breath for up to 20 minutes, which is also an aquatic mammal species trait. And then the other thing is that I also found very interesting is that if you look at your hand, you look at your fingers, we actually have slight webbing between our fingers and between our toes, like a duck. So there's that as well. And these are just a few things that we could have aquatic apes. So mermaids could actually be our ancestors. Wouldn't that be so cool? I want to be a mermaid. Yay! So what do you guys think? What are you guys thinking? What do you think it could be? Could it be true? Could it be a cover-up from the government? They don't want us to know that mermaids are real, because I think so many girls their dreams would come true if mermaids were real. But unfortunately, I don't think those mermaids are gonna look like Ariel. We need to get that They're not gonna look like Ariel, beautiful, long, red hair that apparently does not look wet when it's in the water. But okay. My opinion is that I'm actually quite between. I'm on the fence with this. But then also, what comes to my mind, or makes me think, is that we have studied the surface of the moon more than we have studied our own oceans, our own seas, because we can't go down there and we don't know what is down there. And when we do, we discover weird species. There's some strange things, weird looking things down there. So we don't know what's down there. We really don't know what's down there. And then, as well as the fact that I'm a believer that ancient myths and any kind of story, whether you love horror stories like me, they actually have backgrounds that are based on true stories, which is kind of creepy. And where did ancient groups of people get this information? And so many different cultures get this information that there were people that are half human and half fish. Because the more you go into this, because it's like a rabbit hole that you can get stuck down. And I was almost stuck there, guys. I'm so close to it. I actually have to literally stop myself from watching anything else or reading anything else about it, because this is a rabbit hole. But so many civilizations, so many different civilizations. And we know back then people couldn't hop on a plane and share stories with each other. And then it comes back to horror movies. Guys, so many horror movies that you think are, oh, I'm so glad this is a movie, are based off real creepy ass people. These people are scary. These people do weird, scary things. So my opinion is it could be real. There's so many things that point to it being real that could you really say it isn't? Just because we haven't found a mermaid doesn't mean that they aren't mermaids. So comment down below, what do you think? And I love you guys and see you guys soon.